Hello. For all my replay viewers, I have opened up the I've opened up the live video 5 minutes early. So for my replay viewers, you can go ahead and fast forward 5 minutes until the show gets started. Thank you, whoever is that's joining me. Please make sure you put your name and where you're from in the chat section there for me. And I am going to go ahead. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Hello, who are you? Can I remove this? I didn't mean to put that down there, so drop a Who are you that's joining? I can't. Well, there it is. I don't know why. I am so challenged with these lives. Jesus, why? Did it work? I think I finally figured out how to pin a comment. Yes, today's a good day. Thank you, Jesus. Let me check on the live here. Go ahead, drop your name and tell me, well, I don't see that it is, but tell me where you're from, tell me your name so I can welcome you. Okay. All right, it is pinned. I got a pinned comment. Okay, so hopefully I can remember what I did. It doesn't seem to be like it should be too difficult to do, but I have been struggling. I have been on the struggle bus trying to pin this comment, or any comment for that matter, since we started. I think we are on, what episode are we on? We're probably on episode, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10, 11, 12, 13. We are on episode 13 of the Good Sex Talk Show. Ooh, yes. I love the number 13. I was born on May 13, 1985, so 13 is a special number for me. You're gonna wait here a couple more minutes till everybody joins us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey VIP, thank you for joining. We are gonna be having a very lady talk tonight. It's gonna be really juicy and hopefully very helpful for all of us, and we can come together and share some really good tips of maybe some like home remedies or like things that your family told you about vaginal health and loving your body and all those different things. We're gonna get really like, it's about the physical body, not so much your emotions, but I am gonna get into that a little bit. But I'll wait here a minute before I start talking. So go ahead, relax, grab a cup of coffee. Well, maybe not because it's kind of late. Grab you some tea, get comfortable, put your favorite slippers on, put a robe on. Hi there, Audrey. Thank you for joining. Glad to have you today. So we're gonna wait about a minute here and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm so glad to see all of you. It's gonna be a good talk tonight. Very relaxing, very helpful, very educational. I have some really, really cool tips for you guys, for all of us as we go through this conversation. All right. Like for example, we're gonna be talking about what we need to eat to make sure our vaginal area is nice and healthy. All right, it is 10 o'clock. Welcome everyone to the sweetest, most delectable hour of the day, the Good Sex Talk Show with me, Coach Yema. I'm here to close the gap for you between your experience in your spirituality and your sexuality. I want you to know and experience and know this, like know it, that your spirituality and your sexuality are two sides of the very same coin. I am also the author of the equally spectacular and delectable book, Good Sex. It is for unmarried women. So if you have children, if you are have a side boo, if you got a boyfriend, if you got whatever you got, but there's no ring on your finger, ma'am, you are still considered unmarried. So this book is for you. If you have been struggling dealing and reconciling your sexual past and trying to get over it, and you're feeling beat down and, you know, like full of guilt and condemnation and just shame, there is a way out of that. I know exactly how you feel. I have felt that, and wrote the book to share my journey with you, how I got out of that into a full celebration of my sexuality and the beauty and the confidence that comes with that. Okay? And then rules of engagement. I see somebody's like, oh, dropping your favorite vaginal health tip. Yes, we're going to be talking about that today. Hey, Enam, thank you for joining. So rules of engagement, there is a green button down here. I would love for you to join me on the live chat as we're having the conversation. If there's something that I say that either you want to have clarification on, but you don't want to type it, it's usually easier just to join me on the live chat. Or if you have a comment, whether you disagree or don't agree, like tonight, we're going to be talking about vaginal health tips and loving our bodies and being healthy. So healthy hygiene, loving your body is the title of the show tonight. And also make sure you like, make sure you're commenting, make sure you hit the share button so we can help all of our beautiful sisters along in this conversation. You know I'm going to take it from somewhere very practical and natural to somewhere very deep. So we're going to be going deep in the subject today. So it's not just about, you know, like just the physical aspects of things, okay? All right, let's get started. So just as like a quick recap, kind of continuance from yesterday, we were talking about the reasons why we may dress a certain way, why we present our bodies a certain way as women to the world, because we are desiring after attention, like we have low self-esteem, and so we dress a certain way, and we use sex or the possibility of somebody having sex with us to draw us closer. So I was reading this book. It's probably going to be backwards. It's called Sexual Intelligence by Marty Klein. He's a sex therapist. And in the very first chapter, everything that we, you know what, guys? I'm going to take this filter off here. It's kind of weirding me out. There was like a weird filter on the thing. Now I look different. That's fine. There was a filter on it that I just realized. Okay, so in the very first chapter of this book, Sexual Intelligence, if you all are aware of emotional intelligence, it's kind of along the same lines of what he's talking about. So he says this, right? This was so good to me, so I just wanted to share with you guys because it's just like completely, and if it's affirming and you're resonating with it and it's like hitting your heart, go ahead, hit the like, hit the love button, so I know that is resonating with you, like you got the same like aha that I got when I read it. So I'm going to take my time and read it. It's not going to take long. So he says, a lot of our behavior around sex is designed to address these other needs, whether we acknowledge them or not. So the other needs that he's talking about, he was saying that we have sex for multiple reasons, but one of the major reasons why we engage in sexual activity is because we're hoping that sexual activity is going to produce fulfill other needs for us, emotional needs. So these needs for both men and women are we want and we need to be reassured. Hey, Lindsay, thank you for joining. We need to be reassured that we're sexually desirable. We need to be assured that we're sexually competent, like performance, like we talked about yesterday. And he goes into this whole thing. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to finish this book because everything we were talking about yesterday and everything I've written in the book, I just love when God gives me revelation and insight into something and I see other people having that understanding as well, but I got it directly from God. It is always so amazing for me. So everything he's saying here, I'm already very well aware about, and it's in the book. But I just love that he said it. So people have sex for these reasons: to be reassured that they're sexually desirable, to be reassured that they're sexually competent. Like, for the man, can I stay erect to the point where she orgasms? Or the lady, can I stay lubricated until the point, or can I please him, right? The other thing is validation of our masculinity and our femininity, a sense that we're normal. He goes into this whole thing about what we consider normal sex. And this is kind of like a side note before we get into the vaginal tips, but he was sharing this concept about what normal sex is, sexuality is, and how we need to adjust our vision as we get older, because what happens for people in their 30s and their 40s and beyond is that we develop our sexual identity and perspective on who we are sexually between the ages of 18 and 25. And so we hold on to that vision of what sex means to us, what sexuality is for us, how important is it going to be in our lives. We hold on to that as a vision, and then we live our life like we're changing other parts of our life. Our vision is changing, but our sexual vision, our sexuality vision doesn't change. And so we end up at 30 wanting to have like these long, spontaneous, full of energy and all this different types of sexual activity. But we're getting older. Not that we should get like older or weaker. That's not what, I don't believe that. But he was just saying how we need to adjust our sexual vision as we age, and it shouldn't get stuck in our youthfulness. And this is why this resonated with me as I was reading, because I was telling you guys yesterday how we need to love our body as women in the process of us getting older. Like, we can't just love our body when we are perfect, or we can't just like love the body we were when we were 18 or 20 or whatever the age was. Our love and our acceptance of who we are has to grow along with us, right? And so if the concept of us loving our body has to grow, like we have to love ourselves at each moment, then the idea of what our sexuality and what sex would look like for us, what our vision and desire is for that area of our life, needs to grow along with us. Like, we can't be stuck. Like, I think I talked to you guys about this, like in my head, I feel like I'm always like 24 is the age for some reason that I just feel all the time. I'm 34 now. Wow, that's 10 years ago. Woo, Jesus, man. Woo. Yes, Lord. But I am just stuck in that age. And so most things about my identity and how I see myself is locked in that age to a certain extent. And as I was reading it, I could see what he was talking about, how my expectations, because my expectations of sexuality was formed at a very young age, it is still undeveloped and immature. And so we in that state with our immature desires and expectations don't move on into having adult expectations of sex. We stay in that adolescent expectation of sexuality, and we'll go deeper into that, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm a learner. I'm always reading. I love to share information if you guys have not noticed. And so that was just like, yes. Everything we talked about yesterday is exactly what this doctor was talking about. And I've had this book for a very long time. I got this a year ago. I went to the annual American or annual association, something like that, the AASECT. I always forget the actual letters for the acronym, but it's the Sexual Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Conference. And I presented at that conference about closing the gap between our sexual pleasure and our spirituality. And while I was there is when I picked up, they had all these wonderful books, and I am like a book snob. And so I grabbed this book, and I just started reading it today. And as I'm reading it, like, God is just confirming all these amazing things. This book was written in 2012, and he's listing this stat. And the thing that we've been talking about, literally, ladies, all this week about the clitoris and pleasure in high school sex education programs, those two words are not allowed to be included in high school sexual education. Like back in 2012, which is why there's a reform happening right now, which I get. But the fact that the clitoris was not allowed to be included in the education of young people. Let's see here. let me see exactly how he phrased it. Most sex education programs in the United States are not allowed to use the words clitoris or pleasure. That's just a confirmation for me that I'm on the right track, okay? Thank you, Jesus. That is just ridiculous, okay? All right, so now let's get into talking about vaginal health. I want to clarify something for you guys. I've been saying female genitalia because here's a quick biology lesson. The female genitals is not called a vagina. The vagina is only part of your female genitalia, okay? And I keep saying genitalia or genitalia, but it's only one part of it. It is not, your vagina is not what's between your legs, okay? It's only one part of what's between your legs. And so what we're gonna be talking about today is vulva health, which is your major lips, your minor lips, and then your clit and your urethra area, and then your vagina is below that, okay? So that's where you menstruate through, where you would birth the baby, all those different things, right? Where lubrication comes out of, all that beautifulness. But that is what I'm saying. So we're gonna be talking about the vulva around it and then the vagina, okay? So for those of you who needed a quick lesson on the female flower, that's what we're talking about today. So what I want to start with, some really interesting foods that are recommended for us to eat. And you guys tell me if you have like a favorite food that you eat on purpose for vaginal health. And I haven't seen anybody drop a favorite vaginal health tip yet. I can say for me, my favorite vaginal health tip would be that okra is good for vaginal lubrication, okay? So every time I go out to eat and I have a bunch of girls with me and I love okra, and I always order it and they're like, it's so good. And it always, no fail, I'm always like, do you know that it's good for vaginal lubrication? So let's see here. Some favorite foods, recommended foods for vaginal health. We all know about concentrated cranberry juice, right? So that's good for your urethra area, not so much the vaginal health. And when you go online and start looking these things up, how I just described to you the difference between the vulva and the vagina, like you need to be mindful of that. Let's see here. This is not pulling up for me. I'm trying to use my second phone, guys, to pull this up. Let's see. Okay, so we know about, if you don't know, I'm gonna let you know some things right now. So cranberry juice, yogurt, sweet potatoes, lots of nuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, avocados, flax seeds, and most importantly, water, okay? So the important thing about getting water and drinking lots of it, because water is good for everything. Like if whatever's wrong with you, just drink a whole bunch of water. But what is important about like things like yogurt and cranberry juice and all of that, it sets your pH balance, because in your vagina you have a pH balance where you can be acidic, right, or basic, right? And so pH 7 is like a good balance. What happens is we can get off balance, and what can occur from that off balance of your pH, it can be a lot of like odor and all those different things. And so you gotta work on, by the things that you eat, right, you can set up where your pH balance is put back together. When it comes to yogurt, we have different bacteria in our vagina that keeps it healthy. Sometimes one of those bacteria like goes too much, and you have to bring that down, and you'll hear where people be like, well, you just insert some plain yogurt in there and it'll balance everything back out and you'll be good, okay? So I hope this is getting too real for you. This is a ladies' conversation. This is why we're having this conversation at night, okay? So cranberry juice, yogurt, basically, I'm not gonna say any fruit. What I will say is that I see a lot of people who insert acidic things into themselves, which is not healthy at all. So vinegar, no, okay? Do not insert anything into your vaginal cavity. It is a self-cleaning thing. It'll handle itself. If you have the offset of like the bacteria to use the yogurt, like that's fine, but don't put like douches and all that stuff. This is part of us loving our body, right? Because yesterday we talked about how can I love myself and be healthy. You being healthy equals you loving yourself. You feeding yourself things to make sure that you're showing up in the world the best you can be is you loving yourself. It's not you hating yourself. When we feed ourselves junk and we put all kinds of things and don't take care of ourselves, what we're really telling our bodies, number one, is that we don't have a really good relationship with you. Like you're talking to your body, like I'm not really that into you, right? I don't really care that much when we do those things. But when we start to pay attention, and I'm talking to myself as well, because I told you guys yesterday, I have some very extreme unhealthy habits that are not good for my body. And so I am working on that. And so the research that I did today wasn't only for you, but it was for me as well. Now, some of these things I'm going to be sharing with you are things that I've already implemented myself. So cranberry juice, yogurt, sweet potatoes because of the vitamin A, garlic, it's an antimicrobial, so eat it raw. It can help fight yeast infections. Soy, avocado, apples, flax seeds, and water. Almonds, they're high in zinc, which can normalize your menstrual cycle. Also, a really interesting tip, if you guys have, I don't have any period cramps when my period is coming. I just drink a lot of water and eat a lot. That's how I know it's coming. But if you do have pains, if you would grab, like use these spots behind I can't even lift my leg up, but like right behind your ankle bone and your heel, if you would go and squeeze that area, it will relieve menstrual cramps, okay? So that's a quick, interesting tip there. And then we have, this is interesting, hot chilies. They contain capsaicin, which is the thing that makes peppers hot. It'll improve blood circulation and stimulates nerve endings. Oh, it's good for arousal. Yes, I did know that. Peppers are good aphrodisiacs. Dark chocolate, fresh fruit, and veggies in general are good. If you want fewer menstrual cramps, better skin, and easier orgasms, eat a diet that supplies you with a variety of vitamins and all that good stuff, okay? Ooh, this is interesting. It's like from your pinky toes to your punani to your health to your beautiful brain. All right, Jesus, come on now. Okay, so that's what we can feed ourselves to make sure we are healthy and smelling good and feeling good down there. Another thing that was a struggle for me, my sister told me about it. Like, I think I started doing this like 2 years ago, but she had told me like a year before about menstrual cups. How many of you, give me a like or a heart if you know what a menstrual cup is? Like, we're having a real like sex education lesson. I'm gonna take y'all deep in a little bit, don't worry about it. If you know about what a menstrual cup is. Okay, so I can see that. Give me a like or a love if you know what that is. I'm gonna pull up a picture for you. Since I'm seeing that we don't know what that is. So you guys don't know what a menstrual cup is? Is that for real? No judge, I'm not judging you. I'm just like surprised. Interesting. Wow, really? Oh, one person. Okay, cool. A menstrual cup, there's so many different forms of them. And I had to try a couple of them before I found one that was healthy, not like good for me. So let me pull one up here for you. So the menstrual cup is to be used, hey Shelly, is to be used instead of tampons and pads and things like that because they're very toxic. And the FDA has not even gone through and proven that these things are healthy to be inserted into us. Like we all know from tampons that you can get the toxic shock syndrome, right? And has killed and hurt a lot of women. And so in the stead of that, for us to have something healthier to handle our menstrual cycles, what people have designed are menstrual cups. They're silicone cups, which we know like silicone gets put in the body because it doesn't attract bacteria and doesn't hold onto diseases, and so it's easy for you to like hold it in your body, and that's fine. So menstrual cups, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see. This is a menstrual cup right here. Okay, So this goes inside. This is what you would use to pull it out from within you. So I started using menstrual cups about 2 years ago, and I can truly fully say I feel so much more connected to my body and connected to my femininity because of that. You love the Flex menstrual. Oh, you use the menstrual disc. Yes, Shelly knows about the menstrual cups. Yes. I think the one I use, I think the name is the Lunette cup. Like I tried the Diva cup, which you can get at CVS. And I tried all different kinds, and it was like, my first experience was kind of scary because I thought it got lost in there because I couldn't get it down. But that's a side note, probably a bit too much to share right now. But since I've been using it, because it's such an intimate process, it's not like you're wearing the tampons and you're having to change it. And when you use tampons and pads, it makes you feel like you bleed so much. And that's not like the truth. It's not a real representation of what your body is going through. And so as I've been using the menstrual, I notice I feel healthier down there. Like I don't feel dry. I don't feel like weird down there. Like it's just really intimate because you have to squeeze it and you have to insert it, and it'll pop open and it creates a seal around the cup, like a suction, so that everything goes in there, and then you can pull it, spill it, rinse it out, and put it back in. You can keep it in a lot longer than you can tampons, and you can use them, it sounds really gross, but you can use them for like 10 years. Like you don't have to keep going to the store and buying more. And the way you clean it after you're done your cycle is you boil it, and there's like special tablets and stuff for you to boil it and clean it. And so for women who are like, for you guys watching, if you've never heard about it, please go and look into it. It's so much healthier for our body, because we really don't know those tampons that we insert, where those fibers are ending up, or what's on the fibers, how it's affecting us here. And then for you to just be like intimately aware of what your body's going through when you're going through your period, right? For me, what was a hindrance to begin with for me to try it out, because I was like, I'm not trying to play around with that stuff. Because again, there was this barrier for me in wanting to be that intimate with myself. Isn't that interesting? Like, oh, I don't want to see that. But it's mine. Like, it's coming from my body. And you guys, I'm not going to say exactly, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't want to see that. It's going to look like a murder scene. Like, I don't want to look at that. But that is me being in conflict with not wanting to be intimate with me, not wanting to expect and accept that I'm a woman, and these things, I'm a woman that experiences this, right? And so I have periods. Why would I want to be so disconnected from my period? Now, I know in the Bible, in Leviticus and different other chapters, it talks about how a woman is unclean and all this other stuff. And so I always try to take you guys back to the history of where things are coming from and where this disdain for our periods and things like that could come from. Those scriptures are part of where the history of all that stuff comes from, right? And so if you do not, and if this is like, what, Ava, what are you talking about? Just go look it up, please. Please go look it up. There's so many different kinds. There's actually this young girl on YouTube that, like, I think she's like 13 or 14. And she like goes through and like demos all of these like different menstrual cups. And I watched it for a long time to see which one was more appropriate for me. If you have had children, and if you haven't had children, there are different ones for you. The misconception that people think that your vaginal walls get like reared, stretched out, and all these different things. Like, some people think, well, if you had a lot of sexual partners, then you have to use the one that women who've had babies had. No, that's not true. It's a muscle. It comes right back. Don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that you have, you know what I mean? Not true. That's a complete lie, and that's a myth. Your vaginal walls come right back together after sexual intercourse or whatever you put in there, okay? It's fine. Don't worry about that. So there's two different kinds. There's one for mothers, and then there's one for women who are not mothers, okay? So look into that. The other thing that I was kind of like, should I share this? But I want to be transparent with you guys about the process that I've gone through, right? To own my pleasure, own my body, get back in love with my body, and accept myself, right? had to do a lot with me getting comfortable with my flower, my beautiful flower down there, right? So we've heard of Kegels, right? Kegels, yes, no, maybe so. Okay, so this instrument here, that sounds really clinical when I say instrument, right? Hey, Jeanette, thank you for watching. It is a girl talk night tonight, honey. So this could be seen as like really Eastern religion kind of thing. When I went through it and I used it, it wasn't about that for me. Like a little bit, because I get that God puts truth in different things and things have vibrations and all that stuff. Like I get that. But it was really about me getting really comfortable. Like after the whole menstrual cup situation, I went through that like complete mind renewal about how intimate I wanted to be with my body and the processes that my body went through. It was very easy for me to move into this thing that I heard about that I wanted to try. Are you guys ready? Who's waiting with bated breath? Are you ready? I'm kind of nervous about sharing it. Okay, let's see here. I was gonna show you mine. I was like, that may be a little bit too much. So I'll show you a picture of it. Are you guys ready? Praise Jesus. Okay. So, have you heard of yoni eggs? I'm gonna type it in there. Have you heard of yoni eggs? Yoni is the name of the female genitalia. I'm not sure exactly where they got that term from, so I'm not gonna lie, but it's probably some Eastern, whatever it is. So yoni eggs are to help you with your Kegels. Now they put them in different crystals, and the crystals mean different things like self-love and all this other different stuff. But mainly, if you don't know what Kegels are, which I wish you guys would tell me if you didn't know, but I'm sure you're not gonna share that. But oh, thank you, Julie. I'm just seeing your comment. Thank you. So the yoni eggs are for Kegels, and what Kegels are, they are vaginal exercises. Remember I told you the difference between the vulva and the vagina, right? So these are vaginal exercises to strengthen your pelvic floor, okay? And strengthening your pelvic floor for women who have had babies, very important. Keeps your uterus all nice and tight up there. And then also it'll strengthen, for those of you who are in long-term committed relationships, it'll strengthen your orgasms as well, okay? That's just the physical aspect of orgasms, because we know that this is your biggest organ, sex organ, right? So these are yoni eggs. And the stronger your ability is to hold your Kegel flexes, this is the smaller. If you're not really good at Kegels right now or at a time, you get a bigger one because it's harder for it to fall out, right? But if you're really good at it, you can have, you'll use the smaller ones, and then some of them have the hole here where you can pull them out when you're done, or you don't even need that. If you have worked on it really, really, really good, you can like push them out. So, and when you insert it, hey Lillian, thanks for joining. When you insert it, like what you do is like it drops and you squeeze it up. It drops and you squeeze it up, because most women or most people, when they try to do, and men can do Kegels as well, actually. So it's not just for women. Obviously, they can't use the yoni egg, right? But men can do Kegels too. But women, sometimes we get confused with like, you end up squeezing your anal muscles and not your pelvic floor muscles. And so the yoni eggs are to help you concentrate that squeeze and that flex, right? And if you're having a difficult time figuring out where your pelvic muscles are that you're squeezing, when you go to use the bathroom, when you're peeing, you can see how strong your pelvic floor is, and see if you can stop your pee and let it go, stop it and let it go, right? If you're finding it very difficult to like hold it and stop it, and if you're getting like leaks and stuff, you have a weak pelvic floor. And so it is extremely important that you start to walk this. Now this, guys, this is about being healthy, right? So we talked about the food, We talk about the menstrual cups. Now we're talking about like exercising our body, and you guys already know exercising and stretching, all that stuff. So we're specifically now speaking about our beautiful flower, right? The vulva and the vagina, our female genitalia. Okay. So squeeze in the pelvic floor. If it's a weak pelvic floor, if you cannot hold your pee, okay, you have a weak pelvic floor, and it's extremely important that you start to work on that. And so if these yoni eggs would be something that you're willing to try, I got these same, they come in all different, like, what do they call them, crystals. And I got the rose quartz, and they'll tell you like, oh, this crystal means self-love and all this other stuff. And like, I did honestly like try to connect with that, like, okay, this is self-love and blah, 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 whatever. But it was just good for me to practice. And I got the medium, I think I got the medium one. Yeah, I have the medium one. They come in a cute little pouch. When you're done with it, you know, boil it the same way that you would your menstrual cup, and you just put it away. When you're ready to use it, you plug it back in, and you can use it. You can walk throughout the day with it, like I did mine. And then at night, I would like take it out and then put it back in the morning. So I did that for a long time. Now, all of these different things really helped me to connect back to my own pleasure and myself. Because when you're inserting the yoni and you're having to like use those pelvic muscles, it sends little like shocks through your body throughout the day, which is like kind of like relaxing. It feels really good, and it's just pleasurable, right? So it's not like I'm masturbating myself with a yoni egg. It's just like having to squeeze those muscles, because it's the same muscles that get activated when we have an orgasm, right? And so we're exercising them, and so there's like little shocks throughout the day. So it's kind of pleasurable and delectable, like your little secret. But when I was going through that process of, I hope are you guys blushing right now? Is this too much for you? Am I going too deep? Do I need to pull back? Hello? Can I hear from a friend? If it's too deep for you guys, let me know. If it's just like, okay, yeah, but we've had enough. Let's move on to something else. But when I did that entire process of the menstrual cup, really, there is something very powerful and divine about, you guys are laughing. There was something very powerful and divine for me when I got more involved in what happened. Thanks Juliana. When I got more involved with what was happening with me down there and not just up here. Yes, Shelly. Okay, thank you, ladies. We going deep then. Come on, Jesus. Yes. Because I have had lots of experiences, and I'm going to go into the next one that may, Lila, you are not too young for this shot. You got a baby. You got an almost 7-year-old. You are not too young, okay? Coming into this grown folk conversation. When I got really more hands-on with myself down there, I felt more connected and like known for myself as a woman, right? Because I wasn't like, and I'm not judging anyone who's using tampons or anything like that. But I stopped using something that was very removed from me. Like, I'm not using the tampons, pulling them out and just being disgusted and throwing it away and all this other stuff. Because something that was really good for me to know, and was like kind of surprising for me, is that when we use tampons and you have your period, like there is an odor that comes that you're like, oh my gosh, I must smell so bad. But when your actual menstrual blood does not smell. And it was just like, oh, like all these different like realizations along the way was just like, oh, like my body isn't this like gross thing, right? And I got really like settled in my womanhood, and I felt that I was walking differently. Not in like a sexual, like seductive, whatever way, but just like settled and confident because I was intimate with me. Like I knew I was getting to know me on a whole different level that I had not been given permission to know myself before. And so I'm giving you all, and there's nothing, ladies, and if I'm telling you something that I have not experienced, I'll go ahead and say, oh, I haven't done this yet, but this is what the research says. But the things I'm telling you tonight, the thing I'm about to talk to you about in a little bit, I have not done that yet. I've done something similar, but not the full gamut of it. Did I actually do that? I think, I think I really wanted to in this whole process, right? So after the yoni egg experience, when you get into the yoni egg world and the yoni world and all this different stuff and connecting with your divine feminine, and getting to like know and own your body and walk as a goddess and all this other stuff, right? You'll hear about the yoni steams. Now they've been doing this a lot on the reality TV shows with girls. Like I know I was watching the Braxton family and Toni Braxton took her sisters out for this yoni steam situation. Do you guys give me a like or a wow face or whatever if you've heard about the yoni steam? While I pull up yet again another picture. Now this one I have not done. I have sat down on a bucket of hot steamed water before to kind of like pull impurities and like the old kind of pure blood and stuff that like stays in there, like pull all that good stuff down. But there is a way of cleaning and pulling down just different things that we, women go through. We have all kinds of different discharges that happen through our body, and our vagina is self-cleaning. But this yoni steam stuff that they do, now this is interesting. Okay, so it's a bunch of herbs that you'll put together, and they come in little like herb packets, and you boil them, and then you put them in like a bucket, but something that you can sit on like a toilet, and you sit on it, and all of the steam pulls down all of like anything unhealthy and like refreshes your vagina without having you like douching is so not good for us. Like please stop all of that, okay? It's not good. But I've heard, now I have not done this yet, but I am totally open to doing it. Maybe I'll do it and have like a review for you guys about how that worked out. I'm trying to find what it looks like for you. So you like put in a bucket and you would sit on like a stool that has a hole in it that is similar to this. And so the bucket of hot water would sit here and you would sit here and you cover your thigh area and the steam just goes up and starts to pull and make healthy, right? And like all the good juiciness and all that good stuff. Now I've done it with hot water before just to like cleanse and moisturize and lubricate and all that good stuff. But the more, it's not like, I'm not telling us to be like super intense and like focused on our vagina area, but we could do a little bit more work and spending more time in paying attention to her. And not only when we're ready to have sexual intercourse with someone, or only when it's that time of the month and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to deal with this. Like, she is beautiful. She's yours, right? She deserves to be taken care of, right? She deserves to be happy and healthy and smelling good and tasting good, right? So taking the time to take care of her, not because somebody else is going to enjoy it, but because you love yourself enough. You love all of you, right? I gave you guys the assignment 2 days ago to get in the mirror and look all around and look down there as well. So I've been kind of like inching you guys along to the point where we can have this conversation so it's not like really shocking for you. And then yesterday, I told you to get lingerie and wear it for yourself and not wear it because you think other people are going to think that you look sexy in it, but buy it just for you. And so when we start to take care of ourselves in this way, and we're doing the yoni eggs and using menstrual cups, and we don't have to do exactly those things, but doing the yoni steams, eating certain foods because we're being mindful that yes, this is healthy for my vagina. When we are doing those things for my vulva and cleansing and all those different things, we are connecting with the thing that makes us women. We are connecting with our reproductive system, our sexual system, our emotions. Like when you're healthy and feeling good down there, like you enter the world with so much boldness, because when we have odor that we don't know where it's coming from, like bacterial vaginosis, where that's an imbalance in your bacteria down there, your pH is off, or whatever it is, or you're in a sexual encounter with a partner, right? And like things are not working well, and then you go into performance anxiety because you're so like, you didn't pay any attention to her until you got there, right? Now, what I'm telling you is, don't pay attention to her because of somebody else. Pay attention to her because part of us owning our pleasure and snatching back our bodies for ourselves and not allowing other people to manipulate our pleasure for their pleasure, allowing other people to hijack our pleasure for their pleasure or demean it or make it not a priority. We have to start making a priority, and part of that is getting very intimate. Part of taking our bodies back is getting intimate with our female genital organs, right? And knowing what's good for it and what's bad for it, right? When you eat certain things, like, does it give you a yeast infection? When you wear certain things, whatever the case may be, and not taking care of her from this very clinical, medical sense of it, but as a part of a wholeness journey that you're on as a woman. Like, how can you be a woman and love yourself and never pay attention to baby girl, right? How can you do that? Right? Okay. So, does anybody have any really good favorite vaginal health tips for us that you can share with us tonight? I would love to hear them. Go ahead and put it. I'm going to wait a little bit, give you guys some time to type it in. And then I have some really interesting myths I want to read with you. Any interesting favorite? I already shared mine about the okra, that eating okra is very good for vaginal lubrication. Let's see, common myths about. Share. Join me live. I'm gonna wait this time because I really want you guys to share with me as I'm sharing with you as a sisterhood. Okay. All right. Okay. So I have this article, as always, from Cosmopolitan about the common myths about the vagina. Okay. Number one myth is that your vagina naturally smells bad. And I have shared that with you guys already about how that is not true, especially when it comes to our period and using the pads. Like that chemical interaction with those toxins in there emits an odor that we think is naturally ours, and that's not true. I know that for me, it's not true. Using the menstrual cups, I've realized that. Also, during different parts of your ovulation cycle, there will be slight different odors, and you can get in your head like, oh my gosh, I smell bad. No, like, we have our own personal smell of how we smell like, right? If you have a partner, or if you've had partners that have made you feel very dirty because of it or made comments, I, number one, want to apologize that you were with someone who didn't understand a female's body and their different odors, not odor, but smells or fragrant, I'll say fragrances. I want to apologize that you had to go through that. But all of us have our own aroma, okay? Hey, Shaq, thank you for joining. The second myth is that your vagina is gonna, excuse me, that your vagina is going to look the same way your whole life. That is not true. It is going to change, okay? As the rest of your body is going to change, it is going to change as well, which is helpful for you to do the exercise that I told you guys to do before, right? Getting the mirror out and looking down there and see what's going on, so that as it changes, that number one, too, for this only medical reason, that you're aware of what changes are happening down there to make sure everything's good, but then just so that you are aware and stay intimate with yourself, right? So the other myth is that your labia should look one particular way. We talked about this on Monday. Was it Monday? Either Monday or Tuesday, we talked about this, how some women can watch porn I am doing fabulous, Shaq. How are you? Thank you so much for joining and participating and engaging. You're awesome. So, let's see here. Your labia should look a certain way. So people can like watch porn or however they get to see other people's vagina and labia and the major lips. Those are the lips, right? Labia is what we normally call lips, but there's two sets of them. And so we can start to think like, oh, mine's too big or too like loose or whatever. Like there is no set way it's supposed to look. How God made yours to look is exactly how it's supposed to look for you. Even if you haven't seen other people, some people can think, oh, I knew there's a friend of mine when I was younger that was very self-conscious about it and was just like, oh my gosh, I don't think it's supposed to be this way. And we're like really, self-conscious to be like getting to a relationship because she didn't want like a guy to see it and like be disgusted by it. Like, can you like think this is the kind of stuff that we go through? This is why conversations like this are really, really important, because we women go through all of these pains about the look of our physical body without and we don't get a chance to really love ourselves. Something I wanted to mention as we're in this conversation, let me see here. The myth is douching is the only real way to get your vagina really clean. Lies. We already went through that one. Your vagina is the whole package down there. It says nope. The vagina, I already explained that to you guys, the vulva versus the vagina. If you see vaginal discharge, something's probably wrong. Absolutely not. If you're grown enough, you know that. Like for example, you have your first mucus and then a second mucus and then your period, right? So the myth, your cherry pops after you have sex. That is not true. The cherry popping is about the hymen, and that is a piece of flesh that goes across, and that can break while you're riding a bike, which is why it was very dangerous, this virgin mentality that was had back in the day in many countries nowadays, that when a woman gets married, if there's not blood there, that means she must have been cheating or something like that. And so because of that myth that people think it only pops when you're having sex, women have been killed because of that, complete ignorance of the female body. And then let's see here. Now this might be too much. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna say it, but I'm not gonna speak on it. Squirting is the same thing as peeing. If you don't know what squirting is, that's not really for this channel specifically. There are many channels that talk about it. There's a young lady from Kenya that I follow, and her name is Kaz, and she has a podcast called the Spread Podcast. And so if you go on there, she has an episode that talks specifically about that. If you want to go deeper into detail about that, she's fabulous on it. She's not a Christian. So if your sensitivities are going to be disturbed because she's not a Christian, don't listen to it. But if you're going for information, then it's the Spread Podcast. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Okay, so the last one I'm gonna leave alone. And the last thing I want to talk about with all of this vaginal health information and tips and hygiene, there is, unfortunately, we talk a lot about fathers not being around to raise their sons to become men. In our society, there is also a large group of young women my age and younger that are growing up without their mothers, that didn't have these types of conversations with their mom, where their mom took them through and said, this is how you clean this is what this is what you're supposed to look for this time, and just took them through really understanding what's going on down there and not leaving it to our education, our public education system, or whatever school they were in, or Google, to teach their children about their female genitals. And the reason why there's been such a rush and overpour of information when it comes to genital and vaginal health is because of this, because women are not teaching their girls about these things. I did not learn this from the mother figure in my home at all. Like literally none of this stuff was taught to me. I didn't know what was going on down there, right? And was sexually active. Like never knew that I should take the time to really get to know me down there, because once again, like I talked about, my body wasn't for me. I kept it together and clean and smelling good for other people, right? Not for me. But I didn't know what was going on down there because I did not have a mother figure in the home that told me, even when it comes to even like pubic hair, like what do you do? Like nobody told me any of these things. And I literally had to figure it out on my own. That's why I'm so passionate, and that's why I coach mothers of teenage girls, because I know what happened to me because I didn't have that maternal figure in the home to teach me what it meant to really love yourself, be healthy, be hygienic as a woman. Like I literally had to learn that by trial and error on my own, and could have seriously damaged myself from having to be a solo learner on what it meant to be me as a woman. And so I coach mothers of teenage girls because I don't want any other girl, young girl who has a mom in the home to ever have to go through this. Now when dads, I mean, my dad took me to buy my first bra. Like he was there the whole time through everything, and I didn't have, like I had my older sister and stuff like that, but it wasn't, I mean, the only advice I got from her was just, I got my period not to have sex or else I get pregnant. Like, and other than that, I think someone was like, you should probably shave that. Like, nobody really sat me down and walked me through as a young woman on how to be a young woman. And so if the information, which is very minimal, that I've shared with you today, I hope it piques your interest enough to go online and do some research and really get intimate with your vaginal area, your vulva, your beautiful baby girl, whatever you want to call her. Maybe you can give her a name. I don't know. But if you want to, and I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping, that this has inspired you to be like, oh, like, it's not just this thing that's a part of me that I have to keep closed so that I don't get pregnant or catch a disease. Like that's so such a reductionist way of thinking about our female genitals. That is not at all, as women, how we should be embracing ourselves. You should get very comfortable, okay? Tomorrow, you guys have been waiting for this conversation. It's gonna be raw, it's Friday. I'm not gonna have all the answers. Once again, I'm gonna let you know what my experiences are, and as a coach, my job is to help you ask yourself questions to develop answers in you that you haven't thought about before to lead you along your journey, right? And so I'm gonna be sharing my experiences with you about masturbation, self-pleasing, okay? And seeing where you're at with that. What do you think about that? Because naturally, it goes, now that we're getting more comfortable and talking about these things, let's start having a real conversation about masturbation, self-pleasing, what your thoughts are. And I'll share with you some stories and history so that if you're thinking that you're alone in maybe how you began, or like your feelings about it or guilt around it, I talk about it in the book as well. So if you want to get started right now or take yourself through a really good process of understanding, pick this book up. I go into that as well, but we'll be talking about it tomorrow. So make sure your heart is ready, okay? Keep your lace fronts on, keep your wigs together, keep your head, your edges, okay? It's gonna be a real conversation. It's gonna be super fun. I am super excited about it. So thank you so much for watching tonight. Thank you for your participation. Please make sure that you share this video. I know it's pretty intimate, so if you want to share it in a private message with your girlfriends and ask them, like, have you tried? Do you know about yoni eggs? Do you know about the yoni steam? What about menstrual cups? Are you aware of those things? Go ahead and share the video with them so you can have a good girl conversation. It'll be a great video to watch, and then you guys get together this weekend and have a conversation, because women heal, women feel more confident when we do it together, okay? So get your girlfriends involved, and also I will be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is midnight on the East Coast. And of course, it is 9 o'clock in California, okay? Pacific time. So thank you so much for watching. You guys have a beautiful Thursday. If you're going out, have fun. Bye.